Hello, dear learners. Welcome to the second edition of our online classes. I am your able Mr. Lukon Bless Njoyi, the History Crusader. Today we are going to look at the economic development in German Cameroon. We started looking at this topic last week, and today we are going to proceed from where we are going to continue from where we stopped the other time. And like topic, we are going to look at the transport and communication. How did the Germans develop or improve the transport and communication sector in Cameroon? We are going to examine all of that, and furthermore, we are going to look at architecture. What legacies did the Germans leave behind here in Cameroon when it concerns architecture? Then we are equally going to look at the social development, and here we are going to examine the role played by the Christian missionaries. The Christian missionaries played a great role in Cameroon during the German era, and we are going to examine the different Christian missionaries that were present in Cameroon, and at the same time we are going to look at the achievement of Christian missionaries. So my dear students, stay put and listen attentively so as to get what is expected to be in your cerebrums. I know you are listening to me. Okay, there we go. Transport and communication. The first one that we're going to look at is transport. Okay, how did the Germans improve on the transport and communication in Cameroon? Okay, looking at the transport and communication in Cameroon, we are going to see the different support given by the Germans to for the construction of roads in Cameroon. That's railways and roads. In 1905 and 1911 respectively, the Germans gave a sum of 150,000 German marks and 500,000 German marks respectively for the construction of roads in Cameroon. That was a laudable effort from the Germans. So my dear students, we are going to continue by looking at the introduction of the first car in Cameroon in 1905, which took her first journey in 1913 from Yaoundé to Kribi. So my dear learners, let us focus on see how the Germans were able to improve on the transport sector in Cameroon. Furthermore, the construction of the two major railway lines, the Bonaberi-Konsamba, which was 160 kilometers long, and it went operational in 1911. This railway was not the only railway that was constructed, or the lone railway that was constructed by the Germans in Cameroon. But equally, we could see the Douala with the Menge railway that was constructed in Cameroon by the Germans. So my dear students, we are going to proceed by looking at communication. How did the Germans improve on the communication sector here in Cameroon? What did they do to improve in communication? First of all, we are going to look at the introduction of the postal unions. The postal unions were set up in Douala and Yaoundé. These were the major cities that hosted the postal union in Cameroon, and Yaoundé and Cameroon in particular was connected to the entire world. We equally noticed that there was the introduction of telephone and the telegraphic services here in Cameroon, networks here in Cameroon, thanks to the transmitter that was installed in Douala by the Germans. So my dear students, looking at the transport and communication sector, the Germans developed Cameroon's railway lines like the Douala Konsamba, the Douala with the Menge, and what have you. And they equally gave sums of money for the construction of different routes. We're going to look at architecture. How did the Germans develop Cameroon at the level of architecture? The Germans were expert builders, and they never wanted to see the natives live in shattered buildings. They made sure that they constructed magnificent buildings that could host their, first of all, their officials from Germany, Likewise, the natives here in Cameroon, so they made sure that they put up structures. A practical or an example of a structure that was set up and is still very, very solid today is the Prime Minister's Lodge in Boya, that was constructed by the prominent German governor in Cameroon by then, Jesko von Puttkamer. Jesko von Puttkamer set up this Prime Minister's Lodge in 1902, which is still serving today. So, my dear students, we are going to go further by looking at equally what Jesko von Puttkamer was able to do still in German Cameroon. He set up the old secretariat in Boya with he constructed a clock tower at the old secretariat in Boya, which is still very, very visible today. We can still go there for sightseeing and we see all those things. So, my dear students, in a nutshell, this was what the Germans were able to do in Cameroon: economic, in the transport and communication sector, likewise architecture. Looking at the social development, Christianity. How did they do to make sure that Christianity was implanted here in Cameroon and Africa as a whole? Before the advent of the Germans here in Cameroon, they had already existed the London Baptist Missionary Society, abbreviated the LBMS. The London Baptist Missionary Society had already existed, and upon the colonization of Cameroon by the Germans, the Basel Mission took over from the London Baptist Missionary Society, and other missionary corporations in Cameroon included the American Presbyterian and the Baptist Mission. These missions helped enormously in Cameroon in developmental projects in Cameroon, like construction of schools to teach natives on reading and writing, the construction of hospitals so as to take proper care of sick natives. So, in a nutshell, my dear students, this was what the Christian community, Christian missionary societies were able to do. Let us look at their achievements detailing. What did they achieve in Cameroon, given that by then, during that era, there was the prevalence of what we call the slavery and slave trade, buying and selling of human beings? How did they do to stamp out this slavery and slave trade? The first point, they preached against slavery and the slave trade. They equally fought earnestly to put an end to that cruel, inhuman trade. That was one of the achievements. They created schools where natives were taught reading and writing. I had already mentioned that. That made the natives to be a bit intelligent as compared to how they were. Most natives were converted to Christians. Yes, natives who were barbaric idol worshippers became Christians, and their way of thinking changed from the old way it was. So, my dear students, most natives were transformed and they embraced Christianity. Okay, translated the Bible into local languages. The Germans equally did a marvelous job at the level of translation of the Bible, the Book of God. They translated the Bible into local languages like the Douala, the Bulu, and the Mungaka languages. So the Bible was at the disposal of these natives for the effective comprehension of the Word of God. This went a long way to change them from the way they were to being new persons. So that was an achievement, a great achievement on the side of the Germans. They created vocational training centers where they taught the native skills like they put in place vocational center. The vocational center is a center wherein we acquire skills which we can manifest practically. So in Cameroon, we have most professional vocational schools wherein people study trades like carpentry, they study trades like electricity, they study trades like tailoring and what have you. So my dear students, that was equally an achievement on the side of the Germans. The missionaries criticized the siege of native lands by the Germans. The Germans who seized native lands, the natives were against that. So these missionaries, upon arrival, they discovered this and they were against it. And they preached against the seizure of land, and it changed for better. So the natives recovered their land. So my dear students, in a nutshell, this is the package that I prepared for you today. Remain blessed and continue to do studies, no matter the distractions that may be back at home. Continually study and send questions via my WhatsApp number if you have difficulties that you encounter in the course of study, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So we have a task here to accomplish. While immediately after intercepting this knowledge, you are supposed to write or examine how the Germans developed Cameroon in the socio-economic domain. And before our next class, the assignment or the assigned task should be sent to me via my number. Stay blessed once more against stay clear of the deadly virus, the COVID-19 pandemic, and make sure that you are not going wayward. Thank you. This is the end of the class. Bye bye.